Hello people, it's me, Libluini. We're back with Dominion 6. This time it's frogs. We're again with the Master of Sinkholes, found in Minnesota, the god of Xibalba, and it's the late winter in the year 3 of the Ascension Wars, and a shit ton of things have happened, both in-game and out-game. So let's go on. First off, we declared war on Abysia, and the AI is kind of friendly about it. Yeah! Seems everyone is excited about war in this game. Of course, we have no contact with Abysia except one leftover province that will soon be overrun by giant armies of plant zombies. So, yeah, there is exactly one point where I could fight Abysia, and we have to kind of book it to get there in the first place. Then there's a dire portent because Asphodel has created another new global spell. This one that gives supernatural health and stamina, which I think works because plant zombies are not just any undead, but technically speaking they're still plants or something. Then a dire portent, grouchy old hole dwellers. This might be this one from Agartha, right? Sounds like Agartha. The mother of all. No, that might be it. Didn't Agartha has... Fuck. I'll have to go over here to this one. Nope. It's still Agartha. So I guess Tritium had it last time, right? God, the way the global spells are moving around in this game is kind of something. Then we see a battle of Asphodel stomping on Abysia yet again. This time taking the Gladewood. And since Asphodel, like all the Pan-related nations, are all about forests, even more than elves, it's kind of another win for them. Now, of course, this being Dominion 6, given enough time, Asphodel's player could just change anything to forests. Now, I try setting the plants on fire, but there aren't enough. This isn't exactly an Australian bushfire here. More a North German one. So some losses, 69, it's nice. But another remnant of Abysia's once mighty armies is stomped to shit. Then we destroy the illusions in barren cracks and losing 3 of our zots in the process. And holy fuck, I already had 52 flyers? Man, those sheep fucks, I keep forgetting I have that many. So let's restore some semblance of defense right here. And then we have a problem, but some other things have happened, so let's continue with the messages first. In Duvan, our short try to skip across Agartha's lands failed massively because the missing army came directly into our faces, probably from the north, and caught us off guard. So this was, of course, a clusterfuck of colossal proportions. Our army was tooled for fighting underwater, and I had just changed spells back to overwater, which did minimal damage to our enemies, some of which, like the shard guards, are even cold resistant, so that didn't help either. And because of them marching in thin lines, most of our colossally broad falling frost spells were kind of wasted in the first place. When they didn't hit our own frogs, of course, because, yeah, they did that too. As you see, our god died, so that's not as insanely bad as it sounds, because I can't call him back. It's just a serious setback. I don't want to sugarcoat this. I didn't expect this to happen, and it's kind of a thing with me. Every time I'm overly cautious, the enemy acts faster than I do, and every time I take a risk, the enemy makes me regret not being cautious. It would probably have been better if we had walked underwater, since Agartha's army came from the north and would have been a threat otherwise. It's kind of funny. So for those interested, if my cat gets out of my way, yes, because my cat, of course, supernatural as she is, detected with your sixth sense that I was starting recording and came in from the garden just now and of course positioned her ass right between me and my monitor again until I have given her enough pets so she is satisfied. But yeah, elementals. Elementals come in many shapes, and I don't mean just in the cutesy earth, wind and fire kind of thing. No, they change shape depending on how much damage they get, with the biggest being the strongest with the most attacks and so on. And as you damage them, they slowly get weaker and weaker until they're finally destroyed. Of course, you can't normally get the strongest ones, because all the ones you can summon start at one size below. I think it's size 7. There are some really fucking huge elementals that can show up. But the normal ones you will summon on the battlefield are size 7 and the second largest. And then the medium spell ones, the those are size 6, show up in large numbers with your level 7 conjuration spells. So that's it. And if they get damaged, then they all get weaker, and they have all different specialities. Like the air elementals are a huge mess because they can fly and still trample. So what normally happens is they fly over to your army and trample all your smaller dudes immediately. And even with the nerf Dominion 6 applied, where trampling isn't immediately death, but just auto damage, some big air elementals damaging some tiny frogs would be awfully destructive, especially since they are hard to hit. Water elementals can regenerate, and they have up to 4 attacks if you get the larger ones. So they have also protection 0 since they're just blobs of water. But this also means that until someone gets to hit them, because they also have good defense, they can absolutely murderize you, while you have the hard task of hitting them enough that they be able to shrink, and then they start losing their insane number of attacks. Ice elementals are a bit of a mix. They are as hard as rock and have less attacks, but also they gain tons of protection the water elementals don't have. And water elementals automatically turn into ice elementals if it's cold enough outside. That's important for a wide variety of interesting spells. Arguably, despite having less attacks, high protection makes ice elementals even better at fighting than the water elementals. And here we have earth elementals. Now I have to take my hand away from my cat for a moment to click. This is the variant you get with your big summoning spells, and Agartha has one that gives you a permanent elemental, as you may have guessed already. It's a capital only site that allows for the spell to work, so at least they can't summon hundreds of them everywhere. They would have to take hundreds of their special mages, the oracles, elder oracles or something, and stack them in their capital, as they then cast a spell that takes 3 shiny earth gems and turns them into 2 of those monsters. I hope I don't have the numbers reversed in my head, but that sounds about right. And so you get 2 of those 70 hit points monsters with high protection. Only average attack and defense skills. They're not as fighting monsters than the water and air elementals, but because they have high protection, medium, right? Or they are still rocks, and they can regenerate like water things. That's the reconstruction for inanimate objects. And their huge hit points combined means they are awfully hard to kill, as we've just noticed. They couldn't also do tons of magic damage with their fists. Luckily it's not the biggest one, because the biggest one has 2 fucking attacks, and with those hits, well, if they connect, that's too bad for you, I guess. That's your end. Also, because they only have 1 attack, that means if they change in their 2 or 3 smaller shapes on their way to their death, they don't losing as much effectivity as they could. Of course, the big ones have trample, which is bad news for anything smaller than them. And while they shrink in size as they get damaged, they don't lose trample, it just gets harder and eventually impossible for them to damage most units using trample. And they inanimate, which at least gave me an idea how to finally stop them, but more to that later. Now let's watch this tragedy. Yeah, our frogs start. And because I've just changed everything from using water elementals to falling frost, we are of course super duper double fucked. Team colors. And on the other side, of course, the huge thin lines of idiots. Those earth elementals are even stronger, but they still have just one measly fist. So I'm guessing this might be some kind of interaction with either the province or some magic bullshit Agartha gets I'm not as familiar with, because I'm not really a middle-aged Agartha player. I think I played with them only once, and that's it. There's nothing about regeneration here, but yeah, could be part of the bless. Are Earth Elementals count? Do they count as sacred for Agartha? There's a lot of shit I don't know about me. Dominion 6 Agartha. Played in Dominion 5 last. Like with Asphodel, they were one of the weaker nations. In the Middle Age, that is. Late Age is complicated. A lot of those, yeah, those should be okay. But they are worse, of course. Tech skill, no skill. Yeah, they're a bit expensive, but yeah. Yeah, and of course they are enlarged, so they have now more hit points and a bigger size. At least they can't trample, so they're only hard to kill now. In Dominions 5, this could be a hugely bad idea, because, well, it makes your units harder to kill. There was also the problem with getting surrounded by tons of smaller units and then getting swarmed. That was a problem for many of the huge units in Dominions 5. Dominion 6 rejiggered the rules a bit, but still, you need to have the numbers first, and by putting them in this insane line, at least it's hard for normal units to flank them. You need flyers, which we have, just not here, because our flyers can't breath underwater. But that's of course kind of brilliant, because as long as he doesn't take the long slow walk across Abyssia's land provinces, we are actually fairly safe, because all the flyers I can recruit are sitting in our main cave back in our capital. And as you can see, falling frost lands on some kind of poor frogs in the middle of nowhere. That's always great with those imprecise spells. Then we have the Oracle of the Ancients hitting our moves with a lot of 0 and 3 points damage, sometimes 10 points damage. So the Blade Wind does work sometimes, since it's a lot. But our frogs have just enough protection that sometimes they can no-sell Blade Wind. Blade Wind can be terrifying if your enemy has 0 or almost 0 protection, but we're just at the range of where it loses its effectiveness. Of course, with level 4 Earth, he can theoretically shit out a ton of those spells. He's already at fatigue 97 though, so that's it with Blade Winds, I suppose. And the first Earth Elementals are hitting us. Because our lines were more compact and thin, a lot of those Earth Elementals are now walking past us. Although, wow, do these guys just regenerate upwards or something? Yeah, seem to get stronger instead of weaker. Yeah, our trolls are also regenerating, but not exactly fast enough to keep up with the huge beefy monsters in front of them. They're not stone-like enough, sadly, they're just meat. We would have needed a lot more trolls, or water elementals. Yeah, now our mages are being targeted by these guys who broke through our far too thin lines. 112. I think that's more than even the biggest one listed in our Dominion 6 online database. I'm fairly sure that's the effect of some kind of buffing spell I didn't see. Huh. On the front line, yeah, some are taking damage. But as you can see, only the few bastards who managed to get themselves surrounded are actually taking damage faster than they can regenerate it away. Then our frogs start running away. Probably for the best, just if more of them could have survived. But then of course they get caught and slaughtered by the elf elementals who got past us. And our big strong worm is getting beaten to death here. His protection is fairly high, so he's not taking that much damage per hit. But he's also surrounded by a ton of those fuckers. And he is definitely not attacking fast enough. He's also not doing enough damage to those fuckers, since they're immune against my worm's poison. And since my worm is stuck in melee, already fatigued out, and that's bad, so the entire enemy army is now beating our god to death. Is this the end of sinkholes? Will caves now cease to exist? Would actually be bad news for Agartha, but I guess they have a different religion. And now this shit goes on for half an eternity. This guy is actually getting smaller, so much damage is he taking. And of course it's not enough, since he's still almost regenerating faster than we do damage. And then our god dies, and that's a lot of regeneration. So yeah, we got completely wiped out. Only one of our mages actually managed to run away after this mess. And our cubes didn't do much because they were too slow and not enough. We would have needed at least something like 100 out in a thin line, and far enough away that our army can't just walk past them. We could have also did a lot better if I had spit out 15 or 20 water elementals with our mages. Instead we completely wasted our gems on not actually using our main attack, and I got punished for it. I also underestimated how strong those fucking elf elementals are, so now I have to use something that can hurt inanimate things. And I need a lot of this because, well, Oracle of the Ancients, I'm guessing he doesn't have hundreds of them, but since the game is far enough along already, he has probably something like 10 or something, and could theoretically just dump 30 elf gems per turn into getting 20 more of those. So even if he wiped this out, if he has the gems and the mages, he could just replace them. So we have to come up with something that's more sustainable than spraying them with 80 water gems each time we need to fight them. Also, I have to recall my god now, that's also something. Then we see another battle, man attacking Pythium and getting absolutely blasted apart. And no wonder, I didn't bring a lot of mages. And the other side at least had these guys, which can be Grand Communicant, which is something special for what is it? Pythium, yes, for some of those Greek styled nations. If joining a Grand Communion, his magic skill in the path of the ritual caused by another Grand Communicant will be added to the power of the ritual. Only global spells or dispels are affected. So this is actually a power that's completely new in Dominion 6. And this means that you can make some kind of ritual where you parked all those smaller ones with the right order. I haven't tried this myself, so I have no idea how the UI looks from the inside of Pythium. But I'm guessing is if you have one big mage who can be a joining or leading a Grand Communion, and you put them to cast a global or a dispel, and Kul can order all those tiny mages to join them. And if you have now, what was the number? 24 of those, that's 24 times Astral level 1, so it's basically impossible to resist a dispel cast like this. Only drawback is you also need to have someone who can cast a dispel. Or a global spell, I guess. In this case, Interroga is naturally level 2 at Astron, I guess with some equipment. Yeah, it's easy to see. There can be insane danger to anyone who Pythium chooses to be his enemy. Angels of the Host. Something Pythium can do, apparently. Yeah, absolute masters of the fighting. Not many hit points, but all of their stats look good, and they can fly, which is always a plus. Also resistant against a lot of things and overcome with invulnerability, so hard to hurt. The Knights of Avalon. Oh, that's interesting. Sacred, hard to kill, and they can heal afflictions, which makes them incredibly strong, but also expensive. So losing 47 of them was not a good deal, especially since they only killed 50. The Longbowman, yeah, that's one of the great things about long-range weapons. If you have just enough of them with high enough range, you can do a lot of shit. And of course, they're on the losing end on all died. There are some medium to light cavalry with a nice charge bonus still, and a horse, so they can't die as easily than infantry. But they did not much before they got killed too. On the other side, two of the Archtherogs were strong enough to do dispels on their own. Holy fuck. Died, but they also killed a shit ton of units. Acolytes did too, so maybe there wasn't even a big communion going on, they just used low-key spells to do the equivalent of housing down the enemy with machine guns of magic. And then the Angels of the Host were the MVP, the main victory player of this thing. I really should look up what MVP actually stands for. Main victory provider? Something like this. Anyway, they were the big guys here, killing over 100 units and only losing 3 in the process. They even managed to overtake the kill count of the mages. Then there are the really cheap Hastatos, who did some killing simply because there were a shit ton of them. And a shit ton of them were also killed. And nearly 100. Almost nothing of all the other guys. Yeah, and some apparently some enemies changed sides. That's the scary thing about astral magic. They have a lot of enslavement spells. That's spooky to witness. So one side almost lost the entire army, and the other side just something like 10-15%. So that was not as one-sided than our loss, but with bigger numbers everything is Ravenous Swarm, a spell that damages undead. And Howl. I think Arpeggios de la is from Pythium's side. There's a wolf attacking. Huh, okay. Then this is this actually his wizard for man with that name? I have to look into the lineup again. And here the angels are massacring the back row, and there he is the basically infinite number of infantry stopping the enemy cavalry dead cold. Remember doing this shit in Dominions 4 with some success. I hadn't as much success in Dominion 6 so far because in cavalry being harder to kill, it's harder to pull this off, but I'm guessing if you have nearly 500 of the little guys stopping the cavalry and then overwhelming them with sheer numbers, it works a lot better. And the cavalry breaks. And survivors are getting killed by hidden numbers. Yeah, that was interesting. What the fuck is a lull? Oh, it was Pythium. It's just typically the game fuckery that some of the dwarves showed up on Pythium's side. It would be funny if they managed to be the ones who killed some of Pythium's mages. I didn't look too closely. There was a lot of going on here. Let's see if we can see some of the battle spells going up first. Oh yeah, Communion Mastering. There is a Communion, so I guess the other mages did something else. Oh, that's the thing. A lot of those mages are masters. So there are more like many small communions than one big one. Oh, Soulslay. Yeah, that's interesting. Well, one thing about Soulslay is, of course, it can immediately kill an enemy stone cold dead, and I guess that makes a lot of sense. If you have a ton of those astral mages, linking some of them up, and then using most of them actually as the masters, profiting from the +1, so I can cast Soulslay. That's actually fairly good, because Soulslay is if the magic resistance doesn't work out, and immediately super dead. That works even against immortal targets. So if a dozen of them kill the enemy, that's a lot of death right there, especially if they can do this a couple of times. It seems some of the mages with alternative paths like water are now casting bigger spells like Falling Thrust. And one of them casts Serpent's Blessing, which helps survive poison damage. Ah, I see. I'm guessing what happened here is that one side, man, thought the enemy would come with tons of undead for some reason, while Pythium thought for some reason man would try using the nature mages for tons of poison. I think. I don't want to start this again, but it's also hard to find any particular mages in this huge field of death. Seems like it would be a perfect target for long-range magic, but of course, man concentrated too much on cavalry. Not enough magic. On the other hand, if they have cheaper units and still have lots of mages, they could still turn this around in a later battle. But of course, first now, this is a shit ton of highly expensive units to lose all at once. And of course, some are already doing more damage with that one. Freezing, fire, frost, falling frost! Fuck. Yes, they're doing more damage with those falling frost falls than I did against so far. Yeah, so... Serpent's Blessing, not many defeated actually. Ulm's of course gone. Then we have Amor gone, and Abysia is given up. Our non-aggression pact is counting down. Alright, good that we are not in a position to attack them now. So I'm not even getting to find out how bad of an idea it is to break naps, as long as no one else has done so far. We are still not close to reaching Alteration 6. We need still at least 2 more turns. But one thing to note is, before looking up the other shit, let's see, Earth. We have Shatter. Shatter needs level 3 and has a fatigue cost of 20. So I'm guessing overcasting it would be more like 40. Or 20 if we have gems. I have to experiment a bit, but of course we have Earth Power, which turns every level 2 mage into a level 3 mage, and then they can immediately cast Shatter 4 times in a row without even getting tired enough to take a nap. And 35 plus is a lot of damage, even though it hits only one person, and only inanimate beings are valid targets, so the Shard Warriors would take nothing. Armor negating means everyone takes full damage, and the only damage someone can avoid is one of the crippling effects, because everyone gets a limp and you can be crippled, which, as you remember, means units will die if moved to another province. Of course, magic resistance being fairly high on elementals means that's not gonna happen a lot. And still, with what we've seen, a normal elemental would eat 2 of those already. Even the biggest elemental you can normally get would eat only 3. Those monsters, as you've seen, have enough HP that even 3 casts in a row might not be enough to take them down, because they also can regenerate. So more like 4 to 5. So we need 1 dedicated caster to kill 1 Earth Elemental dead reliably, given that they also have to target the same one over and over again. That might be a tough sell. But it's of course the only real thing we have to hurt those motherfuckers. As you've seen, our frost damage spells are kind of don't do enough, and they're too unreliable to hit something that's marshes and thin lines. Then we have Gift of Heavens, which also does a giant ton of damage, which would kill them dead. But we need to combine this with Astral, which we don't have. And it's inaccurate, so it just has an equally high chance to just fall on us. Earthquake, yeah, that's kind of funny, but let's not. Magma Eruption is another spell with an even bigger area of effect, and it does tons of damage, magic damage, but blunt damage. Yeah, but it can be eaten up mostly from armor, so it doesn't help as much as you would think. And we need to combine it with fire, which we also don't have. Rain of Stone is good to get head hits. It can be a surprise kill to many mages. But level 1 air is something we can... Oh, Meteor Shower, it would be funny. But nope. We have to go to the other end. We already have Falling Frost for a while now. As a reminder, it doesn't do enough damage, and while it has a giant area of effect, it's more like a big square falling down, not a long line. Then we have Ice Strike, which of course is better because it does slash damage and can chop off body parts and does more damage. But it's also neither armor negating nor piercing, so it's more something against enemies that are low on protection, or just if you want to really do some bad shit to someone's arms and legs, I suppose. Yeah, that's all in the future, I'm guessing. Yeah, our best Frozen Heart is of course an option because it does armor negating damage and it doesn't affect inanimated beings, so you have to always be careful about this. As a reminder, Frozen Heart doesn't work on enemies who don't have a heart. It's kind of funny. Funny is, of course, if I could add these guys to my lineup, I could at least kill the Shard guys. And I think because the Dominion's AI isn't that stupid, the ones who cast Shatter would of course not target the Shard Warriors, and the ones casting Frozen Heart would avoid trying to hit the Earth Elementals as long as there are Shard Warriors there. So problem is, of course, we don't really have the numbers. I also have the Baron Krespic. I already replaced this. So now we are kind of... Oh, and of course we haven't found anything here yet. Well, since we did something after all this shit has happened, we prepared some trades, and hopefully by trading with Skeleria and them not attacking us when we were down, we have some kind of approaching peace now. We now have to do things a bit differently, since now we need... Yeah, fuck. How many level 2 elf mages have we naturally? I'll take those out, those level 2 and 3 mages out of our lineup. Oh wow, oh, one of our priests is part of this. I'm not sure I want to risk here. Yeah, the others are only good for water magic. Since water magic is now suddenly not as important as I thought it would be, I'm dragging them back to our capital so they can do research. I also have flyers, of course. What do I do with those? Let's see. I wanted to combine things in Alman for a new walking army. And now I'm combining all those earth guys. Funny, most of them are also really good at water, of course. I have probably... Oh, wow. Yes, I remember I upgraded a level 2 mage to a level 3 mage in water to get more casters faster, as we still were kind of stuck with falling fires. So this is our 7 casters, and well, okay, to simplify things, I count the level 3 caster as a level 2 caster because Earth power is probably for the best, since I need someone for bigger spells. I might take him even out of the line by counting, so I have one for important spells. That's 6. 6 times 5 is 6, 12, 18, 20, 30, and minus 6 for the first script being Earth power, so that's 24 casts of Shatter. 12, 6, so approximately 6 dead Earth elementals. That's not enough, but it's a start. Let's march back to Delka. Here we have our undead monsters, some of which, 3 at least, are also fairly good Earth mages, so we are now to 9, up to 9 Earth casters who can mass cast Shatter. Still not enough. So now we have to do something interesting here. That's number 10, that's number 11, but they have to do something more important now. That's why one of the trades I did was for more Earth Gems. Because we can, of course, make any level 1 caster Shatter capable if we do this Earth Boots. So that's now 2 more casters if we get to the cheaper ones. And we now have to redo a lot of things here, since we are kind of running out of magic. One at first is to remove these and go to the smaller ahas. So now we can add some more backbone here to prepare for a big siege. Those guys are of course just toast. And the ahas here are mostly still for research. We also have this guy here who survived. Yeah, okay, you guys can be commander, can you know be the bodyguards. I really wish I had a possibility to just let them wait more than 2 turns, but I guess it would be... let's go back to something underwater related. Didn't I have something? Ah, here. Okay, no, it's actually for underwater fuckery. And this is our only level 3 Deathcaster right now. Well, since I can't really use him for anything now, I'm also drawing back to our secondary capital at Delca. I mean, with incoming resources, we can't really recruit any sacreds here, but that's the only difference. Sacreds are kind of overpriced on our side. The buff frogs would take less damage from trample attacks, and they have 16 to 13 protection. What's costs like? Well, slightly more. Well, our poison frogs are kind of more massable, but we really need something that can take some more than just one hit. On the other hand, they are also fairly expensive. Well, the little ones are too. It's kind of hard to tell what would be the best choice. But I mean, I can't recruit cheap frogs everywhere. So I guess I'm changing to the buff frogs, since the earth elementals would no-sell the poison anyway. Holy fucking shit. We need more. We need flyers, but we also need buff frogs. But they take so much fucking resources, it's unbelievable. Yeah, not much I can do here. Assassins. Problem is, I can of course not bless themselves. I could try forging something that gives him at least our tiny bless. Our bless is... I'm starting to forget it anyway. Oh, we're up to 16 provinces, so at least something goes right. We get reinvigoration +2, mountain survival, and affliction resistance. So it's all stuff that is supposed to help survive attrition. Not exactly World War winning here. So I guess it's pointless to try to get more of them. So let's, I guess, go to avoidance mode here and get as many bats as we possibly could. Then we have these guys. The oracles could probably survive this, but we are really like a way to scout underwater without using death guns. So how many resources do they need? 27. Fucking hell, guys! I know obsidian is hard to make into armor and shit, but that's kind of ugly, really. But I guess I can put a cheap mage here, since I need ahas, and the ahas down in Mu are probably better off doing research thanks to this magic giving them +2 to research. Turns them from... Aha is 9? Wait, the fuck. Huh, yeah, I remember from Dominions 5 this should be... Is this because it's enemy Dominion? But I know there are some weird interaction, like growth luck scales giving you additional good events if it's enemy Dominion. But I forgot if the other stuff works. Huh. Well, we need more researchers, and at least they're not being drained. Now I have to look this up. Nope. I guess we are in luck. The drain scale... Wait, drain scale has disappeared here. Holy fuck. Ugh, I'm so disorganized sometimes. So, you guys, do we have one of you ahas here? Here's the drain scale. Any... Well, we have only our super mages here. But Xibalba is being drained, right? I guess we have to look here. This one is 15. This one is 15, so... Yeah, I still had in my brain carved in that drain scales are supposed to reduce your research, but apparently it doesn't count if it's not your own? Weird. Maybe it's also not working for long enough. But magic scales should still make it easier to cast spells on the battlefield. That should be working for both sides. And of course locked in natural numbers here. Okay. We need more ahas and more frogs in those outlying provinces. Oh, we're already running out of money here. So the thing is, if everyone who has level 2 in Earth can make some of our gems into boots, then this will add an astonishing amount of cheap combat mages to us. So Alman, of course I stopped recruiting everywhere except there. Yeah, okay. This may be a bit stupid if I need some on the battlefield, so let's do the AHA recruitment here. In 2 turns our 6 casters should be here, and it's 8 casters, 9, 10, 11, 12. That should be 12 casters. It should approximately be 12 dead earth elementals before we are getting overwhelmed. Still not suboptimal, I mean it is suboptimal. Here we see Asphodel taking over more and more of Abysia. Yeah, we are fucked here, but there is a little bit of light in the darkness, because we have now confirmed that this army is here in Duven, and regardless how fast they run, they can't get into Whitegrave in time, so we can get our cute little assortment of gem income back here. Should be risk-free, probably. I'm sending in Bolon Yokte and no magic support because Bolon Yokte and this guy. Huh? Ah yes, of course, because he has some magic. Well, why not? Better safe than sorry. Now, this guy has now been put on Call God instead of Preaching, which adds 1 point to the pool of calling your god back each turn. That's not a lot, because you only have a chance of getting your god back at around 30 points or something. There's a really tiny chance per point that your god will come back. And of course, I can now add 2 points per turn. These guys are all on the wrong place. But since I'm probably not ready in 2 turns, I can then set our level 4 priest here to do something, and then at least that's 6 points. Yeah. Say, what's about our shitty fuckery here? We need something like 260, 270, so I can actually take some of our stronger priests. They're all level 1. Okay. So we'll start with the slowest losers, biggest losers here. All our big researchers are here. Of course, here are some +3. And we get some more wolves. Where was this? Wait. Ah, here. One already got deceased. So whatever is going on here is apparently happening because of a weird death side, but it's apparently not one of those that's working really bigly. Oh, suddenly I remember. This guy here. What the fuck is this? Oh, you can just go in 1 turn over here. That's useful to know. Because I want to send him to Silvermark. Okay, he is not one of our undead fuckeries. But of course, I am stupid again here. Because I can just hand over one of the skull staffs to one of our level 2 undead monsters here. This guy doesn't have a skull staff. We can simply hand over our skull stuff and... Or better yet, to this guy who has less research. That's probably for the best. And then this guy can go over there and do some side searching. Level 3 dev should be enough to find whatever is hiding here in Xibalba. This army is on the move here. And then the guys in Xibalba. Our archers here. Yeah, that's kind of cute. Not very useful, but cute. No, we probably need more frogs. More frogs for the frog god. Of course, we don't have any leaders currently here, but a big stack of mages is walking back now. Some of which are leaders, as long as they aren't undead. We are doing a little counter raid from Mu, just to get some more gems while the enemy isn't looking. And since I've confirmed that our Ahas here aren't actually researching, well, I'm adding them to the list of call goddess. Because at least they don't hurt as much. So that's 3, 4. I'm good that we are putting a lot of Ahas down here. So it's more important to get our god back. That's +7. 8, 9, 10, 11. 12. 13. So 13 per turn means in approximately 3 turns we should have our god back. Our research now is at 300, so we can even add some of our big researchers. Now, quite carefully. Yeah, that's about it. I think we can still one. Now we are at 275. That's still enough. That's 550 research. That's enough to get Alteration 6 in 2 turns. And also should be enough to get our god back. Not immediately, but there is another level 4 priest I can add. Plus some more from those various different stacks. Stack 1 arrives in 1. I think that they both need 2 turns at least. Are they really fast enough to work through here? Could be useful. Okay, Asphodel. It's probably for the best if your big dominion here transforms this province into a forest, because even though it's probably painful to lose a little bit more income, a little bit more resources would be nice. Our second flyer will then go here, and then we'll start doing something. Oh, okay, now that I've had to put up all those god casters, I of course can't really do many more elf boots. So I'll have to wait for next turn, when we are concentrating a new force in Delka, one that's only to destroy those fuckers here. Right now the best we can hope for is to destroy 12 Earth Elementals before we run out of scripting. Then probably up to 10 more until our army is destroyed. And since we don't really want to lose entire armies over and over again, I will have to continue stacking Earth Mages until we can reliably kill 40 to 60 in one go. Because only then do we have enough Shatter Casters to immediately overwhelm them. Which we kind of have to, because Shatter is, I should add, a bit short range of a spell. It has only a range of 15, which is not a lot. And since the Earth Elementals will be getting a bit close to our mage line at that point. Ah. Oh, sorry, Ember. My cat is back again. So yeah, so one thing is of course left. I almost forgot because my cat distracted me a moment. We have our profit here. Here, all these guys could add 5 more points to our tally. But they're sitting on Bitra for an eternity. And now Asphodel is advancing towards Abysia itself with a big stack. There's of course a slightly smaller stack on Abysia itself and their god is rating, but since the AI is not really good at scripting, they're probably host. It may take a while to get Abysia down, since it's a big strong castle, bigger than our capital at least. But yeah, with that big pack of plants closing in, it's still only a handful of turns we have to do anything here. But another good news is we actually finally managed to crack Bitra. And since there is fucking nothing in there except auto defenders, we can just storm it immediately. Yeah, that should be for the best. Let's try to storm as fast as possible, and with... Yeah, okay, we probably should be careful here. Hopefully all those sacrifices I'm setting up in the front line will cause the archers to not shoot directly at our leaders. And then I'm bunching shit up so I have an easier time squeezing through. And then we have our flyers. If there are any leaders left over, then I should kill them dead. And that's it for this turn. Next turn we'll hopefully get Bitra back, and we start reconstituting an anti-earth elemental defense force. Until then, Diploini is out of here. 10 minutes? That's good. That was close. But yeah. Are we... No, I've just finished my turn, so who the fuck is stopping us here? This game sometimes. And turn. Ah, now it has worked. This game sometimes. And we are back again. Next turn. Yeah, so since we were this close to the timer running out, we were the last one, and of course I could immediately start again. And this time I was smart enough to pause the recording instead of creating a little batch of recording I have to then awkwardly cut out later. So, my gem trades went through. We received F gems from our ally Asphodel and 56 water gems from Scaleria. So if we need to water blast some fuckers underwater now, I already have replaced the gems I would have used. And I just remembered I probably also just replaced the gems I lost in that failed attempt at invading Agartha last turn. Agartha is also now claiming another throne, so we have a new contender next to Asphodel and Pythium. Speaking of, Asphodel has retaken the Mother Oak. Yeah, I mean, he has probably more nature gems than the universe at this point. Contains stars. You can probably do this again multiple times as long as the enemy isn't someone like Pythium who can use some kind of low-key pumped up dispel to spare himself the astral powers. Then the counter invasion has begun. Now that our army is defeated on the battlefield, 2 forces of mixed undead and amphibious creatures, like this Oracle of the Ancients, have invaded underwater. Here are less earth elementals, only 25 so far, but another big batch of shard guards, and they managed to kill the remaining survivors in this province. Then in Whitegrave, aptly named, some Red One captain and his militia forces are facing the great end of this time it's our victory, because there wasn't much of a defense. To be honest, most underwater nations, underwater provinces struggle with defense. There's just not many good units down here. And Utter Deep, where another army, the ones who defeated us last time, now with 3 elementals less, has invaded. And since it takes time at games to replace Earth elementals, I really hope I can find a way to kill them for good. The Shard Guards are sacred and capital only units are of course a second prize, but as I see it, if I find a way to destroy those Earth elementals, then whatever army I have afterwards can deal with the Shard Guards fairly easily. So that, and we took control of the fortress in Beatra, so a kind of a weird turn. We gained 2 provinces but also lost 2 provinces. Horatius was discovered, so we lost one of our scouts. That's kind of bad. Where the fuck was this? Yeah, okay. So our scouting has gone down by 1 point. And since it was in the middle of nowhere, retreat details was killed. Yeah, no way out, my friend. Then Asphodel accidentally plowed down one of our scouts in Gladewood. But he managed to survive, so we still have him. Okay, so let's start with Beatra. Beatra is a high-income province that really saved our ass after we've lost 2 provinces last turn, even though they're kind of shitty provinces. Beatra is also now a point of defense the enemy has to take. Would be kind of funny if he's now taking it right back. So we now have Whitegrave again, and we can pump some Mino defense in, so it's not a single scout can take it back kind of province. But I'm guessing that, well, they could aim for Quadra now that our army isn't there. They could also aim for Mu, since I only have 1 army to defend 1 fortress. So let's get this back to Mu here. So Mu has a bit more defense than 25. 200 should be able to survive a while. Now the fucking thing is I have no idea what Agartha is actually planning. So I could just walk over here. Yeah, this is of course kind of fucked, because Asphodel is taking a shit ton of provinces incredibly fast. And as always, Agartha is doing this thing where, despite being my enemy, he's really helping Asphodel gaining more thrones faster. Yeah, well, now I have the big decision, but since Agartha is really determined to destroy us, I have to leave this throne to Asphodel, including everything underground here, and have to move this big stack of units back. Well, technically speaking, Beatra has higher income and more resources, so it's actually a better province. We also don't have money left over for another temple right now. So let's call God, so that's 3, 4, 5 points added to the tally. Let's set all the incoming fuckers back to research first. Whoop. Fuck. Sorry. Which one of these guys was... Oh no. She... Oh yeah, she is super slow, so... Do we have someone else who has at least level 2? Oh yeah, backups. Yeah, we still have tons and tons of shit here, so... All the backups are level 2 priests, so that's 8 more points. 10 more points. 12 more points. this guy is also, wait. No, he has a shit ton of wounds, but he actually, oh, he is under, so I just didn't see the tag in here. Well, you would think, yeah, the graphic maybe, but yeah, my eyes are really fucked up, so if I don't look directly at this graphic, I wouldn't have seen it. So that's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 more for the point, and this should mean that we get our god back sooner than later. We're also forging 2 more earth boots per turn. Well, any one of our mages can be the thing. But our sheep ahas are probably for the best. Whoop. More frogs for the frog god. At least we have now one. Okay. Do I have a spot free for my mad plan? Yeah, I still have spot 10 empty. So we now have boots here. He's now level 2. So summon earth power. Then he is at 20 fatigue and level 3. Then he can cast exactly 4 times shatter before he's running out of juice. And then the battle is pretty much decided. Of course, this only works if you have lots of other units that can make it so I can advance and cast spells, just in case I fucking up placement or the earth elementals are too far back, because this means they will actually start marching, and since their combat speed is not too bad, they can get 10 of those little tiny squares per turn, and they will cast spells while doing so. So after 1 turn, they already have upgraded Shatter's spear, a range of 15 up to 25, thanks to the march they have. And of course, if they put, I don't want them to put them right in the front, because that's where the rest of my army has to go. But this plus them marching forward should catch the enemy off guard. I also have to make lines. Sadly, I can't make the lines too thin, because then the earth elementals would just march through. But probably better if I use double line formations, because the new displacement rules means they could still break through. Even this is probably the only way to keep the earth elementals from just marching through, but then we need a lot of frogs, right? Our flyers will probably be another important tool if Agartha comes on land, because then we can just fuck them over. Also important, these guys, well, we can only put them in a box formation. And I'm putting them right here. So we'll probably, oh yeah, we have a real leader now here. That's 10 times better. We now have a second frog block. I'm putting him here. Then we have these guys. They have to immediately fire at whatever is closest to them. Probably not doing much with their short bows, but every little bit helps. And then I have this block in the middle, and since they're cavalry, they can survive 1 or 2 more hits and have better defense than our froggies. So they're easier to, not as easy to crack. Also still frog recruiting here. And recruiting flyers over here. And now we have more pet rollers here. Hopefully we finally get the fucker hiding in Xibalba, because I haven't forgotten that this guy is here. And of course those stupid frogs get stuck here, because my flyers would actually be slowed down massively. So now it's getting harder to move my scouts around. I guess I can send a scout over here. And then this one deeper here to see what Scaleria and Pythium are doing. Yeah, okay. Pyrene, what's happening there? Probably better to go here so I can stay at this weird intersection of Scaleria and Pythium to see what those two are doing right now. Any surviving scouts here? This one. My underwater scouts are on the march. So now that the troops have left here, let's try if we can back and sneak in the underground. Great Olms. Yeah, those are an interesting thing. I think they have this weird stunning ability. Yeah, now I remember why I once wanted to play middle-aged Agartha too. Because if they can survive for long, they have a lot of tools. Kind of funny how our frogs are just degrading with each turn the game is running. Well, Agartha runs on opposite routes where you can, similar to Asphodel, just slower steamroll a lot of opposition. The shard guards are actually not as bad as the Olms, I think, because the Olms can do a lot of shit, but until they show up in the battle report, I can't really tell you why. There is something I could look up, but then I would do this thing again where I'm talking and nothing actually... Fuck, I'm typing Olm instead of Ulm instead of Olm. So, Olms. There are actually Olm sages, great Olms, Olm spawn, ancient Olms. Fuck, there's a lot of Olms going on. The normal great Olm is a big underwater Olm who has life drain for those who get too close to him, and mind blast, which can paralyze. And 70 Olms can mind blast a lot, I'm telling you. Yeah, so mind blast can paralyze the enemy, and it's extremely high precision, and it hits one. Also has infinite ammunition until they run out of stamina, because 10 paralyzed, so I am thinking that is not good. Sounds like 10 turns or something. So armor negating, magic resistance negates, ignores shields, no effect on mindless units, may use underwater, which is important for us. Natural ranged weapon, magic weapon, strength not added because it's just mind against matter. So if we roll good enough, then an attack can be negated, and they are taking fatigue each time they use it. But still, 70. That's a lot. Encumbrance isn't a bit... They're kind of shitty units, so if you manage to drop on them, that might be it for them. Because with their defense skill, they will just get stabbed a lot. Could, of course, paralyze a lot of units dropping next to them. So I'm back now on the right screen, so the weird freezing you may have experienced is gone. We go back to our guys, they have a slightly above average magic resistance. A lot of them will actually shrug off the shit. So what I'm now needing to do is getting bats. Bats in the belfry, that's even more important now. That's another block of flyers ready to rumble. Okay, with the Olms on the battlefield, that's What is our leaders here? Oh, there, 60 gold. It's actually just one of those. So I have to be a bit more mobile and bat-like now. Sorry, frogs, but this is important. So these are kind of stuck, but I can move them to our staging ground here, because we need a lot of flyers, I'm suddenly learning. So our other mages are assembling here. are still at... Fuck, we have dropped below. But it's not like we can fight in the very next turn. So I'm moving my army back to Mu now. And I have no idea. We could be sieging both of them at once. Which would be a huge problem for us, since we need all the strength we have. Our little Ahas are kind of caught up there. Let's change tracks a bit. Oh, that's interesting. Forest. So, I completely forgot that I guess bats can also be recruited in forests because it's dark. No idea. We also can gain our nature mages who can fly. But what we need is leaders for our flyers. We only have one after all, that's not really much. And some frogs. That's probably more useful right now. Thing is, of course, I have no idea what is going on over here. But well, I just added our Mega priests over there, so it's probably for the best if I just move all those mages away from here, just in case. The only good thing about this place is, since we are above ground here, if I can get enough of those fucking fuckers, we might hold out in Bitra. Underwater, of course, where no one can fly, we will have to struggle. And all now depends on Agartha. If they immediately strike for our land fortress, this is actually better for us, because while it would be kind of sad to see Quadra go, at least we then get a chance to reassemble our forces and counterattack. With our flyers, we can at least dumpster a lot of the enemy leaders. Hell, I mean, I'm trying to destroy all those earth elementals the hard way, but if the enemy is actually unsmart enough to march onto hard ground where my flyers can stab his leaders in the back, I might have this in the bag. Because if he has to clump up his units, that would be the obvious counter. Then this also means he's clumping them up for our mages to hit, and even if we don't use shatter on him, we have a ton of water and earth mages in our repertoire. Well, actually, don't really... Yeah, shatter has a bit of a short range, doesn't it? So yeah, probably... Wait, this guy has level 3... Naturally, completely forgot this hero has a big strong earth magic powers. So I give him a pair of boots too. For our planned anti-fuckery unit. And I really hope I can root this fucker out next turn so I can move the flyers back to our main armies. So if he is targeting our main lands, we have one turn before we have to move anything. If he's targeting our fortresses, we have to combine forces here. At least Bitra is now ours, but really I wish our god would come back faster. At least we know dogpiling a lot of points on the scales. Let's see, maybe we're lucky and he is coming back next turn. Otherwise we have to call god while we're dealing with multiple sieges. At least what my scout reports say is that there's only one big force of Great Olms, which may be reinforcements to bring down our fortresses. Of course, if he just stacks everything back together on top of it, this may get ugly, because then we need enough mages to cast down something like 80 earth elementals. That's like, what the fuck do we need even? Something like 80 mages? That's a lot. At this point, it's probably for the best if half our mages cast Shatter, the other half spit out water elementals, which we can't now, at least for a while. So yeah, so we did recover somewhat, but lost of course some more. Now we are concentrating forces, and well, the army coming from Whitegrave of course will tell the enemy, the battle report will tell the enemy that there aren't really exactly tons of mages waiting here. So all we can do right now is making it hard to get this thing here broken open. So my first plan is to make Pedra a sacrifice and try to hold on to Beatra with our many frogs already here. Nearly 200 plus the nearly, well, okay, 100 here. We keep going on here. Of course, with Mu now under danger. Okay, who would need the more? Well, it's too risky. I'll recruit a mage up here again. We have Ormec ready, and here is a spot for an Aha. Now we're recruiting 2 of them, and can then turn immediately both of them into Shatter mages. We also have 1 or 2 turns, depending what Agartha is doing, before we have to decide how the fuck do we combine all our mages together. Research is kind of fucked right now. We now need an additional turn to get Alteration 6, but since there are no big battles next turn, I'll have to risk it. We try to do too much at once, otherwise. Would already help a lot if our god comes back, because it means more research and or summoning spells on our side. Yeah, that will take a while. So, counter-offensive forces are assembling, and it depends on what Agartha is doing, while Asphodel is winning more territory, more thrones, and it's kind of a funny game. We are already making jokes about how everyone is fighting everyone else instead of Asphodel. How is the thrones count looking now? Well, we have 1, Marignon has 2, Agartha now has 2, Asphodel has 1, 2, and now 3. Did Agartha actually claim this throne already, or did they just take the province? Messages. Nope, they just reclaimed their cute little mother oak and the gift of health. So I'm back on the winning lane. We have 3 contenders for winning. Pythium, who is fighting things out with man, and I think even Scaleria, depending on what is going on over there. Marignon has, I have no idea what they're doing. I think they had a tiny scrabble with Asphodel, but then stopped. So we and Asphodel have eaten Ulm, and Asphodel has now eaten Abysia soon too. Agartha is trying to eat us, but this of course is, unbeknownst to Agartha, distracting us from taking over Abyssian territory over ourselves. So, and this will now mean that soon Asphodel will have yet another capital, while Agartha will very slowly grind away at us in an unholy war of death, and then one of us will probably win around the time Asphodel is finally the victor. So Agartha will probably not win. It's just a struggle between us to see who will not win more. And Asphodel is just rolling over the entire world at this point. I mean, it's come to the point where I'm now allied not only with Asphodel, but also have struck out my feelers to Scaleria just to have another option besides plant zombies. But well, yeah, the situation of this world is completely bananas. Right now, the people of the Earth are fighting the people of the sinkholes to claim the honored place of seeing how the god of Asphodel ascends and crushes everyone with plant zombies. But well, the game is not over yet, and I want to see if I can at least keep going for long enough so I can finally get to Lost Land. That will be, I think, my second attempt at trying this. My second attempt with Xibalba. My third attempt overall. But as soon as people are realizing what I want to do, they tend to either dogpile me, or I'll tend to be forced to accede, or I get crushed, because yeah, the best way to use Lost Land is of course if you're underwater or amphibious, which isn't really the list of the strongest nations in this game. And of course if you're a land nation and start sinking land, you're kind of hurting yourself, as funny as it is. So we have to keep our amphibious frogs going for a while now. If our god comes back, well yeah, good for him, but he also has to stay out of the battlefield for now. Hopefully he only loses path in water, or nothing at all, because getting Earth booster and that weird ass fucker might be a bit complicated. Probably easier to just boost him back up. But let's see what happens. We still haven't gotten him back after all. So that's the end of this turn. Xibalba out.